Welcome back to my channel. It is your girl Christina, and I'm back with another interview. Like I told you guys, I was going to be doing a lot of interviews this month, and I have with me here Patricia. Patricia is another fellow Dominican, and she is another fellow YouTuber. So welcome, Patricia, and thanks for being on my channel.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, so like I said, Patricia does have a channel. It is called Patricia Fig, Fig for part of your last name. And
I think I should change that soon. Like I think that was like my subtle trying to assimilate, right? Like Patricia Fig, like no, it's Figueroa, like period. You know what I'm saying? I would change it, but for right now, you guys can find me as Patricia Fig. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. And so do you want to just tell us a little bit what your channel is about? Your channel is very like diverse as far as the topics. I mean, you have hair videos, vlogs, you do comments on social stuff and then like Dominican related topics. So yeah, just go ahead and tell the audience what they can expect to see on your channel.
So first, I want to give a disclaimer that I need to get back on track with my YouTube channel. Just so much has transpired this year with like the pandemic and everything, and it's just been so hard to manage creating content, working full time, and doing my studies. So this has been hard. But I have I have told myself, I'm going to get back on track. I'm going to do my YouTube stuff. So when you guys see my channel, I literally just make videos about anything that comes to my mind. Like I just have so many ideas, experiences, whatever comes to mind, I just want to share my life. So if that looks like sharing my fitness, the fitness area of my life, if that looks like sharing a thought that came to my mind about something political or social justice related, if it's about my faith, if it's about, my culture, my identity, like I don't want it to be limited. And maybe in the future I'll branch out and make different, channels for different things. But for right now, it's just like holistic me. You know what I'm saying? So check out my channel if you want to join me.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna leave the link to your channel in my pinned comment and in the description box. So for any of you guys watching that wanna check out Patricia's channel, definitely go ahead and go take a look at it. So Patricia, so you were born here in the U.S., right? You weren't born in DR.
I was born here in the U.S.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you're a Dominican American, just like me. You're in New York, right? Like you've been in New York your whole life?
Yes, I was born and raised in Harlem, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dominican, the word is like enclave. You know what I'm saying? Like a Dominican enclave in Harlem by Broadway. You know what I'm saying? So everyone who knows the area, it's like the Washington Heights before Washington Heights. So, in that little cultural bubble of Dominicanos. So why did I say it like that? Dominicano, like the period.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Anytime I talk to Dominicans from like New York and like up north, I always kind of feel like, man, I missed out. I didn't grow up around a lot of Dominicans here in Virginia. So I'm like kind of sad.
You were born in the state that you live in now?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that you were originally from New York and then you moved. Like just like I just figured that you moved. Wow. Okay, I feel you.
Yeah. I have been in Virginia my whole life. Born and raised here. And I've always thought to myself, why did my parents choose Virginia out of all places? But
wow, yeah, that is crazy. Freaking Virginia. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You're giving Virginia some sazon.
Hey, yes. So when I started doing YouTube, I realized a lot of the I guess Dominicans that watch me or like the ones that comment or even the ones that used to kind of troll me were mainly situated in New York. So I used to always think like, do Dominicans in New York just be beefing with everybody? Like, why is it always, Dominicans versus Puerto Ricans or Dominicans versus Black people or Dominicans versus this? And I'm like, oh my goodness, is it that serious up there?
It is that serious. Only because not that I'm propagating it to be that serious, but it's like New York is like a microcosm. So it's like a little bit of everyone. So everyone's identifying with their own group. You know what I'm saying? Perhaps in Virginia, because it's a larger white population, I don't know the statistics or anything like that, and you not growing up maybe in a Dominican bubble here, like for example myself, but then you have the African Americans who live across the street who don't F with Dominicans. But then the Puerto Ricans and the African Americans really get along. So it's F Dominicans. So it's kind of like the battle of identities or, like territory of, I don't know, it's weird, but it is true. And I experienced it growing up where, I grew up with Latina. Like I said, my friends were all Dominican. We were all Dominican little girls who our parents were Dominican. We grew up speaking Spanish at home, comiendo plátano y mangú en la casa. But then in school, we learned English. We learned the American way. But there was beef between the different types of people, 100%. 100%. Even in as little kids, you see like the tension and how people group themselves. But like I said, it is a us issue. It's a human issue. I see that we do that from a menial scale to a macro level. You see how us humans we separate ourselves and we divide each other. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
in Virginia, you see it. It may not be by Dominicans against African Americans and Puerto Ricans, but it's whites against blacks. African Americans against white Americans. So it different ways. You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. Not white Americans against. It's just us separating ourselves. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, yeah. I mean, here, well, at least in Northern Virginia, the population is pretty diverse. But I would see, as far as like the Hispanic kids went, I would see some of that tension between like Salvadorians and Mexicans sometimes, or like Salvadorians and Bolivians. So here it's more like Salvadorians versus everybody else. But because I didn't grow up in the Dominican bubble, most of my friends, except for one of my best friends who is Salvadorian, they were either African American or African, like Sudanese. So that was like my little clique throughout most of all throughout school from very young. So yeah, so when I came onto YouTube and I saw all this beef and tension, I was kind of like, okay, like, is it really that serious? And then part of it was like, man, y'all need to get out of New York. Like, it's not like this everywhere. But
I'm gonna keep fighting you on that. It is like that everywhere. It looks different. Stages. It looks like that in corporate America. It looks like that, in the educational system in which I work in. We're like that. That's how we are as humans. So unfortunately, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have to ourselves, you know what I mean, and understand that it's not just a New York issue, a white people issue, a black people issue, Dominican people issue. It's a human issue. We need to understand that we are so much more than like these social categories have made us to be. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. You are right about that. So go back to your family. So where in DR is your family from?
They're from everywhere, honestly. So my grandmother is from La Capital, but then my father is from like Villa Altagracia. I have family everywhere, but when I would go to DR, it would be in La Capital with my grandmother.
Okay, so that's where you mainly stay.
I'm also in El Este, so I don't know, I'm everywhere.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm assuming you've probably been to DR quite a few times. What would you say, being American, like, do people over there, like, do they call you gringa, or do they just kind of, I guess, see you as one of them? Or how's your experience been when you do go back? Like, as far as how people see you and just like the differences between the cultures.
It's so crazy because when I grew up, like I said, in a Dominican bubble in New York, though, so, here I am, like, I'm just Dominican. That's how I view myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, at home, I'm just Dominican. Like, my culture is Dominican. Everything's Dominican. But then when I go to DR every summer, it was like you said, like, it's a gringa, like, mi español estaba medio machucado, so they could sense it in me, like, mi hermano me decía, Manny, no hable cuando entramos para la tienda, porque ellos te escuchan el acento, como quiera, so it's just like, damn, like, it's a weird feeling, because it's like we're foreigners here on this land that our family decided to migrate to, but then we're also, I guess, strangers to our motherland as well. So it's like, so dime, we have to find your own identity.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I totally feel you. That double experience, like you said, it's like we're foreigners here, even though we were born here, because of our lineage. But then, yeah, when you go back to DR, I mean, in my experience, it's not like they would ever like cast me out or I don't know, treat me like I'm so different. But at the same time, there was that distinction that people would make. I would have people call me gringa, which I thought I always found that so weird because, I've mentioned this. Yeah, because I was like, what? No, those are white people. Like to me, a gringo was a white American,
Right.
but then to find out that some people also call Black Americans gringos, that was weird to me too. But anyway, so yeah, they would call me that, and they would make fun of me and say that I just like to eat hamburgers and French fries and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm like being like a first generation, especially descendant of another country, being in the US, it is a very unique experience because that we're not fully from here, but we're not fully from there either. So it's kind of like we're this weird middle area.
True. I feel you, girl.
Yeah, but what are some of the things that you like most about DR when you're there? Like, what do you enjoy doing? What are the things that you miss once you come back here?
One of the, I guess, like the most beautiful thing to me in DR is like the landscape, the land, the beauty, the water, I
Yeah.
don't know, it's so beautiful. It's like, damn. And like I said, like, I don't know how beautiful it is in Virginia. I've never visited actually, but I'm in New York City, you know what I'm saying? The nitty gritty, like I don't get to see the beautiful stars at night and the clear blue, clear water. So I love just lo mango, comiéndome los mango así como like,
Yeah.
yo, love it. My brother and I will go get mangoes from the trees, just like chilling, lo comemos ahí, los caballos ahí, like just like roaming. And yeah, it's beautiful. Like DR is just natural, it's pure.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. There's this liberty there of just being like kind towards. I don't know, just culture. I don't know how to explain it, but I like a lot about it, to be honest. Every culture has its pros and cons, of course. I'm very aware of that, and and in my own personal life, I try to challenge certain things that my culture tends to propagate sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love it and I'll represent it always because it's who I am.
Yeah, no, same here. I 100% agree with that. Like you said, I do love the landscape of the country. When you're in a Cibao, I mean, just the lush green mountains, and then you go to the beautiful beaches on the coastal areas. And then I recently got to visit El Sur, where I saw like the desert area, which I had never seen.
I've never seen. Where you said you went?
To El Sur, so close to like Bani and like Barahona and stuff. And I went to see Las Dunas de Bani. Oh my goodness. Like I felt like I was in the Sahara Desert. Okay. And we crossed through the sand dunes to get down to the ocean. Yo, I was dying. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ecosystems, a lot of natural beauty to see. And I totally get what you mean when you say that there is a sense of like kind of like a freedom or a liberty that you feel there that you don't necessarily feel here.
And it's not only is it environmentally because life is a lot more natural over there. You know what I'm saying? Like here, I eat organic, this, that, the third. I'm always shopping, at Whole Foods or whatever. But over there, un mango es orgánico. You know what I'm saying? La gente no está pensando en paquetico, you know what I'm saying? Like la gente vive libre sometimes, and it's beautiful. And I think so. Like I said, so it's not only just environmental, but it's culturally. You know what I'm saying? Si tú tienes hambre, tu vecino te da. Si tú tienes que te cuide la niña, tu vecina está ahí. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not how life works here very much. That I don't know. That pureness is very scarce, and so I find that liberty there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like you said, every culture has its pros and cons, and some of our cons definitely tend to be put on blast a lot. And yeah. So coming back to the US, you've made quite a few videos, and on your Instagram too, you talk a lot about being an Afro-Latina, and you speak about your experience, being a Black Latina, in the US. And something else I've noticed, not just on YouTube, but on social media, is people are very opinionated when it comes to the term Afro-Latino or Latina. And some people find it divisive, which personally, I feel like people who use this label, it is more as a way to kind of like affirm that aspect of their identity, and to like, affirm their Blacklist as a Latino or Hispanic, however you choose to identify. So for you, what made you want to identify as that?
Honestly, just well, first I'll say this. I believe that if it were up to me, I wouldn't have to identify with a label like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there was a common understanding that we are all one, you know what I'm saying? That like Latinos come in so many different shades and colors, you know what I'm saying? That we are an amalgam of so many things, then there wouldn't be no need for a label or a title as Afro-Latina. You know what I'm saying? So although I affirm it and I do use it, I'm very aware of, the reason why I do it, because it's like it's taking pride in something that has tried to be denied from me. You know what I'm saying? Something that has been that people have used to mock me, to belittle me, generationally. You know what I'm saying? Like my ancestors, I can only imagine what they've endured. You know what I'm saying? My life hasn't been the easiest at all, but I think about what my ancestors endured, and I'm just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? If I deal with these little insecurities because of comments that people say to me, because ese pelo malo, or esa you know what I'm saying? Lo que sea, anything that we have been ingrained with about anti-Blackness in our culture, by me affirming yo soy Afro-Latina, it's like I'm taking up space. I'm letting you know that what you have to say to disparage me has no power over me. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I choose to identify with it. It's like un símbolo de, you know what I'm saying, a pride. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
¿cómo tú te vas a reír si para mí eso, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. And your explanation, I think that's why most people that identify as such choose to use that label. And now, me personally, at one point, I was calling myself an Afro-Latina, but then it kind of went back to, in my head, I was like, but if we're supposed to be, if Latino is not a race and we're a mixture of all these different things, then why should I have to add a prefix if I'm just as Latina as this white Latino over here? So I guess that's kind of more the approach that I took. Like, I should be able to call myself a Latina while being dark skinned, and nobody should have a problem with it. But again, it goes back to how you said, a lot of times that African aspect of our identity as Latinos has either been tried to, be diminished, or people try to like downplay it or put it in a negative light. So again, I see why, people use it, or why you use it, because it is taking pride in that aspect of your identity. And like you said, not letting the negative comments that people make kind of get to you and stuff. So in that aspect, I totally get it. Yeah.
You know that controversial conversation. Like I myself, like I made a video where it was called "You're Not an Afro-Latina Stop." And
yeah, I saw that video.
It was a very like controversial video. Like the comments, like just people going back and forth, this, that, the third. And I said my piece, and I watched the video not too long ago just to see if I even still agreed with myself, because we evolve as people. You know what I'm saying? Like we learn things every day. We challenge our own beliefs. At least that's what we should be doing. But I was like, no, I agree with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can use the label, and number one, you don't have to ask anyone, am I Afro-Latina? You know what I'm saying? You don't have to ask anyone. You know your identity. You know your experience. Be true to you. If that's who you are, then you know what I'm saying? Then be it. But don't use it because it's popular now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, regardless, be true to who you are. If you never experienced the Black experience, why claim it? Is it because it's a popular hashtag? Is it because this is what's popular now? That's not fair to people whose true experiences have caused them to realize, you know what? I'm gonna take pride in the things that have made me feel less than. I'm gonna take pride in So that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, hey, I agree with that too. And I have said myself, I do feel like there are some people out there that are just saying it now because it's trendy or it's cool to call yourself, oh, I'm an Afro-Latina now, when it's like looking at some of these people, it's like, girl, you ain't never identified as Black a day in your life. And then it's like, well, you can't be out here policing other people's Blackness, blah, 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 which is, I'm not trying to do that. And I really try not to do that. But it's just like, sometimes you just got to call it the BS, man. You just got to call it out sometimes.
Like, yo, no, because no one's gonna, like, I shouldn't be able to police anyone's identity. No one should come to me and they'll ask me with my comments, who ask me, like, how about me? Like, and they'll tell me, like, some of their story, blah, blah. And I'm like, be true to you. Like, I'm not here to tell you if you're Afro-Latina or not. I'm just out here to call out if there are any people who are very aware that that's not their identity, that's not their experience, and are dimming the light of those who have experienced it. Be real to yourself. So I'm telling everyone, take it, leave it, use the label, don't use it, but be true to who you are and your experience. If you know that, you know what I'm saying, you've benefited from certain privileges, acknowledge that, move on, and now use your voice too. You know what I'm saying? Your story. Oh, I thought I was better. I had these features. That doesn't make you a horrible person. We live in a freaking post-colonial society where all of that has been ingrained in us. Like, I hated my hair for a very long time. Does that make me a horrible person? I just didn't know how to love my own hair. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know why I've been taught to hate who I am and my God-given beauty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I feel you on that as well. And I do think though that there are more Latinos that are becoming more aware of these things. Like you said, we live in a post-colonial society, and a lot of those thoughts and kind of like hierarchy, whether it be of skin tone, of race, of features, hair texture, I mean, that stuff still exists. It's stuff that was just deeply ingrained into a lot of societies, and so they're still there. But I do think a lot of us have been making progress. The more that these conversations are being had, people are talking about it, people are being more vocal about these little microaggressions that they experience, be it from their family members or whoever it is. So I think that is helping in being able to, one, address it and then kind of like tackle those things and, move forward. I know in DR, at least, I've mentioned this a couple times before, but I know there's been a growing natural hair movement down there, and people, even some people like down there, are starting to have these conversations a little bit, not as much as here in the US, but I think overall we are making progress.
I think so too, and I think that social media has helped a lot, just technology in general. Like, people able to spread their message and show, we're seeing more representation, and I think that's beautiful. Yes, we are and we have endured a lot of everything in this freaking society, but I do see subtle progress. You know what I'm saying? I do see upliftment of one's pride in being who they are. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
I do see it. Like, El Pelo name, the girl, damn, I forget her name, but she inspires me so much. She has Amo Mis Rizos. I love that. That's now in New York City as well. She has a salon in Dominican Republic, and she has a salon in New York City. And that's beautiful. That's a big deal. She's a part of the diaspora. Just like us. I think she was actually born over there. She migrated to the States.
Yeah, I think so.
And she went back to influence wow, like, I love it. I love the whole thing. And there's so many young little Black girls, Dominican girls, all types of girls. Amo mi tajón, or amo mis rizos. Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yes, Miss Rizos. Yeah, I've been following her for a little bit. Definitely very like empowering, very encouraging to see stuff like that, and people are starting to really take pride and love their natural hair. And honestly, once you learn how to take care of it, 'cause that's another big factor. Sometimes we just don't know how to take care of our hair, and that makes us dislike it or get frustrated. But once you learn, I feel like that love for your hair just kind of naturally follows.
It's true.
Hmm. So, growing up in the US, I think the experience as, a Black Latino or Latina, like, it's very unique. And, I see a lot of people say, that they're too Spanish to be Black, but too Black to be Spanish, quote unquote. Is that something that you related to? I mean, growing up in New York, or maybe not so much up there, I don't know. But did you ever feel like you were kind of in between these two worlds of being Black and being Hispanic, and maybe you weren't fully accepted by either side?
100%. That's another video I made one time, and it was my first video about the topic in general. It was the 5 struggles of being an Afro-Latina. I don't remember all 5, but it was essentially like realizing, and vocalizing what I want, like, my experience growing up being a Latina, like just immersed in Latino culture. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, my first language was Spanish. I spoke, Spanish at home. I went to a Dominican church, in Harlem, where all the hermanas spoke Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Like the God that I believed in was a Dominican God that would be like, "Pórtate bien, muchacha."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
so yeah. But then, within that culture, my cousins would call me Haitiana because I was morenita. You know what I'm saying? Because yo tenía el pelo medio malo o malo en general. But
Mhm.
the idea that they believe, or blackie, or just like things that will make you Celia Cruz, but it was never used as a good thing. Like it wasn't like, wow, you are like Celia Cruz. It was like, "Tú eres negra como Celia Cruz, ven acá negra." You know what I'm saying? Like things like that. So I didn't enjoy being called Celia Cruz. Now I take pride. Like, do you know what she was calling me? Someone who was so proud of who she was. You get what I'm saying? But at the time, I would hate being called Celia Cruz. Like I have a love and hate relationship with her name in general because
Wow.
because of the comments I will get by being compared to her in the Spanish community, in the Latino community or whatnot. When I became natural, oh my God, I got comments from everybody. Like,
Oh, I bet.
oh my God, my grandma fue la primera. Like,
Oh man.
but you know what I mean? Like, but you can't blame people because that's like, for example, I say my grandma was la primera. She is an older woman born in 1944. My 2020 ass. What do I have to? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
She, you know what I mean? Like she's learned to be a black woman in a different time period, a different era. You know what I'm saying? Like my grandfather was a white Latino man. You know what I'm saying? So her children were all very like mixed, basically mixed kids. But you know how Dominicans, we're all mixed. So your
Yeah.
dad is probably Indio, but your mom is white, or whatever, black mom, Indio dad. But my grandfather was a white man, limpiando la raza, all of those ideas. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? And who am I to blame her? But that's what she learned. That was her survival skill, you know?
Mhm.
But I decided, like, no, I'm not gonna actually, mama, like, a mí me gusta mi pelo así. Oye, déjeme go home tranquila. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll straighten it when I want to, but I don't want to feel like I have to. I don't have to feel like to be beautiful, I have to do this. I don't want to feel that way. You know what I'm saying? So that it was through my hair that I began to embark on the journey of loving myself. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a part that has been so I don't even know the word to use. It's been used against us black women for so long. It's the biggest marker of one race in this social society that we live in. So the
Yes.
in Dominican culture is very much to, make sure that you don't see, the nap and the stuff. Ponte un alisado, arréglate ese pelo, arréglate la greña, you know what I'm saying? All these things. So it's a constant reminder that you are not beautiful the way that you are, and by me accepting my hair, it's like, that's all of y'all. I love my and
Yes.
I'm who I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm the rep who I am 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is so empowering, honestly. And I think, yeah, a lot of us have that same experience. I know my mom started relaxing my hair pretty young, actually. I mean, and that's so common to see among Dominican girls. Like, you start relaxing your hair pretty young.
Culture.
Yeah, it really is a part of the culture. I mean, at this point, I haven't relaxed my hair in like, I don't know, it might be close to 15 years. It's been a very long time. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I relaxed my hair, but that was just like a normal thing to do. You don't think nothing of it, like time to relax your hair, But luckily I kind of broke away from that, and I'm like, nah, I don't need to be doing that to my hair anymore. But
Like, no, you're beautiful just the way you are, period.
mhm. Yeah, so I mean, I appreciate that now. I'm like, it's like I feel free being able to rock my hair anyway. I mean, right now, of course, it's straight in, but I don't care to wear it out curly, braid it, whatever. Like,
Whatever, but you're not like, it's like you're not a slave to having to straighten your hair. Like before, era
yeah,
cada semana, fin de semana era para el salón. You know what I'm saying? And was it by choice at that point, or was it because I'm being taught that that's what's the norm? So it's like,
yeah,
yo, I can straighten my hair next week if I want to, but it's because I want to. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
So yeah, no, 100%. Do all the stuff you. That's how
Hmm.
it should be.
Yeah. But all this that you experienced from the Latin side, did you ever experience that from like the Black side here in America, where it's like you're Black but you're kind of not?
African Americans, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, I did, 100%, because, like I said, within Latinos, it was like you are a Black Latina. But when African Americans, it's like you Black, but you're not really Black. You know what I'm saying? Like you Black, but you don't eat grapes. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you Black, but you don't know about Marvin Gaye. Like, so it's like, I'm sorry, but my ancestors, they weren't picking cotton in Virginia or in the South. They were freaking in sugar plantations in the Caribbean. That's not my fault. I have a different. It doesn't negate my Blackness. Just because you don't understand, it doesn't mean it's not there. You know. So yeah, I
Hmm.
experienced like school. I've experienced just girls literally just telling me like, yeah, you're not Black. Or I had a best friend one time who, he would always tell me like, you ain't Black, shut up. And I'm like, what the hell? What are you talking about? Like, bro, what am I? What am I? He's like, Black. So he meant culturally. I wasn't Black. I wasn't culturally Black. You're right. I'm not African American Black. I've been in this country and there's a lot of beautiful things that I admire and I love from their culture here. The
Yeah.
music, what I'm saying, the music, the art, everything. Like, yo, I love it and I respect it. But I know that that's also not my identity. You know what I'm saying? So don't try to negate my identity because it doesn't fit your own mold. And so I have experienced that throughout my journey. And especially like with the whole Afro-Latina stuff when that became very popular, um, just people like, oh, now they want to be Black. You know what I'm saying? Like now
Yeah.
they it's just like, actually, no, I've been Black. It's actually, I'm sharing my story. Black identity has always basically plagued me, unfortunately, because that's how we've been taught. Like, do you understand that majority of the Africans came to Latin America? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Not they were dragged, based, you know what I'm saying? But majority were shipped to Latin America. So,
Hmm.
what can tell us that we're not Black? You know what I'm saying? We're the blackest of the freaking all diaspora. You know, we're so rich in Black culture, just looks different.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, yo, sometimes people don't be believing me or even other Hispanics when we say, but we were told sometimes that we were not Black. Like, this isn't something like people say, oh, you're just saying that as an excuse. It's like, nah, yo, like we really did experience, even for me, like my African American friends never called me Black because where I grew up, Black meant African American. They would call me Spanish. It's not that they didn't recognize that I have African ancestry, because obviously you can tell that I do, but they would not call me Black, or they would say, oh, she's not Black, she's Dominican, you know? So it was definitely a very real experience. And again, this is why I say, or go ahead.
I was going to tell you that it's because in the US, they have a very like binary type of, I guess, perception of race. So by you saying that you Black, you are kind of saying that you are African American, because that's how they have categorized for many years in this country. You know what I'm saying? What is Black? You know what I'm saying? And the rules have changed throughout the years. You know, the grandfather also, if you just have, you know, blood from your grandfather, that makes you Black. But then, like, you know, if you're mixed, then, you know, and everything has changed. But now we understand Blackness as African Americans. You know what I'm saying? Even if you mix, Drake is Black. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's Black. But you're Dominican, I'm Dominican. You know? But it goes back to the idea of a limited perspective of what Black identity is, because that's not the only of Blackness. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have people tell me that too. Like, you're not Black though. You know what I mean? Like, you Dominican. I was like, no, I'm a Black Dominican. Like, yeah, like yeah, I know, but you're not Black. I'm just like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to negate it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Now, girl, hey, I've experienced the exact same thing. And that is why I say, like, the experience of being Black and Latino in this country, it really is its own unique experience. It really is. I don't even know if, like, white Latinos kind of experience this to the extent that, like, with white Americans, to the extent that we do with Black Americans, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, you know, our experience is very unique.
Interview. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I didn't consider that. I know that the same way that white Latinos experience privilege within the Latino culture, because there is that racial hierarchy. But you know, they take advantage of privileges here, whether subtly, consciously, or unconsciously, but they are privileges assorted to them. You know what I'm saying? But there's also biases against them. You know, they struggle with their, like, yeah, you're white, but you're not like white. You know, you're not Anglo white. So no te pase. You know what I'm saying? No te pase, no te dé mucha ala. You know what I'm saying? And it's very subtle. No one's actually vocalizing these things, but like you said, is an internal hierarchy that we have created. You know what I mean? So they less than if they were the only, you know, white Latino in a corporate white environment. You know, they probably feel that pressure, or like that, you know, ese desprecio. You know what I'm saying? Because you're Latino. But then how about us Black Latinos within that? So not only are we Black, you know, in America as just being Black. Now we're new immigrant Black groups coming into America, but then we're also Black in Latino culture. You get what I'm saying? So it's like a double, like, negro y negro, like, you know what I'm saying?
But I did recently, though, interview a guy from Uruguay, and he's very, you know, white looking or whatever. You know, you could tell he's very high European ancestry. But even he said when he came here to the US, you know, he didn't really speak that much English, and he himself felt that at times he didn't feel really accepted by the white American group, especially because, you know, he had an accent and things like that. So it's like, you're white but not like white, you know. So yeah, I mean, they do experience it on their end too. You know, it's very interesting. I think the only group that maybe not so much experiences this are like maybe the more like mestizo Latinos, that they don't really look white or Black. They fall in that middle category that people associate with, like, I don't know, the Mexican look or Central American look, whatever. But when it comes to those of us that are visibly more African descent or more European descent, it's like we just kind of naturally fall into the dichotomy here in this country of Black versus white. And so we kind of have to learn how to navigate that, navigate living in this American system of race, and then also our cultural racial hierarchies and all that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But mestizo Latinos, they also experience their own, I guess, issues or, like biases against them because they are visually able to stand out compared to a white Latino who can blend in. If a white Latino, like the one that you were mentioning, is able to buy English language, assimilate so much that they erase their accent, perhaps they could really pass. But imagine like the physical, marker that you're an immigrant, that you look different, that you are brown and weird to white people, like y'all are different, y'all are mixed. What are you guys? Like Latinos are just so weird because one is Black, one looks Mexican, one looks India, one is white, like we're just so interesting, and it baffles the American idea of race. You're just Black or white. Who are these people who are everything? You know what I'm saying? Like, salgan de aquí.
No, for sure. But you do actually bring up a good point though, as far as the mestizo Latinos are concerned. And I'm not gonna lie, that is something that I've thought to myself, and you can even maybe call it a privilege. I don't know. But the fact that most people look at me as a Black person, Black from anywhere. Like anytime people guess my ethnicity, it's some type of Black ethnicity, whether it's American, Ethiopian, whatever.
What do you usually get?
Ethiopian.
Oh my God! Like I was gonna say Eritrean, which is basically next to Ethiopia, and they look ethnically very similar.
Yes. I think it's because there's a pretty sizable, Ethiopian population here. So since people aren't so used to seeing Dominicans, but they see a lot of Ethiopians, and I guess I favor them. So that is what people assume. I'm some type of African or something. Anyway, so my point is because I look Black, I am able to kind of escape having those stereotypes or whatever placed on me because I don't look mestiza, So yeah, it is something that they face. People are not gonna look at me and be like, oh, this immigrant,
That's why it's a freaking issue. You see how we all do it and we all experience it. You know what I'm saying? Porque el blanco americano al lado de, let's say, English, white man and a French man, they have their own separations right there. One is French, one is French and has his own, I guess idea of privilege, or not privilege, but hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? One is English. Like we look at the history between, England and America. You don't think that there's, it's weird. We all do it. We in every single way.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. We definitely do.
Chino y el coreano, el filipino, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always somebody and somebody. You don't think Eritreans and Ethiopians are like, don't call me Eritrean. I'm Ethiopian. You know what I'm saying? There's that beef there.
Mm-hmm.
That's how on the micro. Yep.
Yeah, that just is what it is. I think humans at our core, we're also very tribalistic. So that all just kind of plays into all that. And it's like we have to be very, distinct, and I'm very much my identity. Don't confuse me for nobody else. Okay. Like, yeah, we all, even people within the same race, you're going to find that everywhere. For sure.
Us acknowledging, that reality, that's really how we are, unfortunately, and how we've been throughout history. It doesn't mean, that we don't try to do the work to undo all of the things that we've been taught. You know what I'm saying? Like we've been taught so much throughout the years about all these things, like not only, politically, you know what I'm saying, culturally, socially. There's so many things that we have to undo and unlearn because where has it led us? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So When it comes to Dominicans more specifically, what are your thoughts on the things that are usually said about us as far as our negation of Blackness and et cetera, et cetera? All the stuff people say about Dominicans. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you this. Because yes, we have the label of being like the most anti-black people that exists, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, como que we're in denial of accepting who we are as black people, or as a nation that has black people, and is an amalgam of European and Taino, Carib, all of these indigenous roots as well. We're a mixture of all of that. But unfortunately, throughout history, we've taken pride in most of the time of the European, and sometimes of the Taino as well. We take pride in that because I guess it negates our black identity. Un prieto más negro que yo dice, no, yo no soy prieto, yo no soy prieto, yo soy dominicano, mi abuela de España, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cuidado, oye, mi apellido es francés, you know what I'm saying? Whatever, mi abuela era de Francia, whatever the hell, like, it's always something to kind of like take away from your black identity. But that's not the reality of everyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, it is a cultural and like I said, it's everywhere. So who are we to say that it's just Dominicans? Number one, that's just a state. But who's gonna experience that self-loathe more than black people themselves? You get what I'm saying? Like, Dominicans, we are the cradle of the what's it called? The transatlantic slave trade. You get what I'm saying? Like, we were the first freaking black people in the diaspora. You get what I'm saying? Like, so how does that? Who more than to hate their black identity to a certain extent than the first, like the people who were taught to hate it the first? You know what I'm saying? From the very beginning, we were being oppressed in the island of Hispaniola. They called us Hispaniola. Who knows what the real name is? They call it Haiti. They call it Quisqueya. But who knows what our real name was? You know what I'm saying? Who we were. And we were taught to hate ourselves. So I don't blame my people for having that trauma, that anti-black trauma. My grandmother doesn't want to, to make those comments about my hair, but somewhere along the line, someone taught my grandmother's grandmother or somebody's mother that what she had wasn't beautiful. You get what I'm saying? Right. So she passed that trauma down to her grandkids, and here I am, Patricita, getting alisado. And it's just as small as getting a perm, but the message is greater. You get what I'm saying? What does a little girl feel when she's being told, que te arregles ese pelo, si tú quieres pelo bonito, aguanta jalones? What does that mean?
Oh, man. We've all heard that a billion times.
What does it mean, sir? What does it mean?
Yeah.
It means you have is not beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And like I said, it's not everyone. There have been black people in Latin America, Dominican Republic, that have never been ashamed of their black identity. Never. Mm-hmm. It's something that they've held on to in so many different ways. Black culture and our black roots have infiltrated so many things in our present life: the music, the food, the religion. You know what I mean? Not only in, Santeria or what's it called, 21 Divisiones or this or that, all of that, yeah. But you see it, have you seen the Pentecostal church? How spiritual and like, you know what I'm saying? The music, very African-like. You know what I'm saying? The women se dejan el pelo natural. Esas mujeres ni se alisan. They're very like, embracing their black identity. So it looks in so many different ways, people identifying with their black identity and not taking shame and not allowing those social ideas to prevail over who they are. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's like, you know, who I, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be who I am and be unapologetically it. So, you know, you go to Cuba, you go to Brazil, you go to DR, you go to all these places that people are, you know, saying that, you know, we are in denial of who we are. And this is like, actually, no. You know, yeah, that is the idea that has prevailed because of slavery, but that doesn't mean that all of us are slaves to that ideology. Because a lot of us are very proud of who we are, and we've been proud. We don't need, you know, a new label like Afro-Latino to make us. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been this. What happened? Like,
Thank you,
we've been black. Like, we've been black. Like,
oh my God. Hey, you summed that up perfectly. Like you pretty much said little bits and pieces of things that I've said throughout the past year and a half. You just said it like all right there. Yeah, no, that you summed it up really well. Yeah, you know, and it's gosh, where do I begin? I mean, like how you said with the example of the grandmother, that's just repeating things that was taught to her grandmother and her grandmother, and you know, bringing that down to you, and wow, what you said, you know, because of the fact that we were the cradle, you know, the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade, which is something I've said a billion times on my channel too. So in the way, yeah, we were the first ones that were taught to hate that aspect of ourselves, you know, and then of course that is going to be passed on generation to generation. But like you said, there are also those, even in DRs, which people don't want to, you know, it's hard to believe, that have not been ashamed of that aspect of their identity. And that's more so what I've tried to relay on my channel. Like, y'all want to keep focusing on Dominicans being so anti-Black and blah, blah, blah. But look, there's a lot of us here that are not, and that take pride in that aspect of our identity. Because like you said, Dominicans, for the most part, have always taken much more pride in their European ancestry and even in their Taino ancestry, but not so much the African. So my thing has been more like, you know, trying to show you guys we can be proud of all these things, but just realize the reason our culture is lit was not because it's Spanish. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not. Like, our rhythm.
We're ashamed of what gives us our flavor. How can that
be? Exactly. Like, y'all, ese ritmo que nosotros tenemos, ese sabor, like, y'all, that didn't come from these conservative Spaniards that went to Española. Like, let's keep it real. You know, so take pride in that. I mean, that's what gives us, I mean, I've said this before, like, you know, ese cuerpo que las mujeres dominicanas tienen, you know, that curvaceousness, like, come on, y'all. It's the flow that the men have. Like, where you think that came from, man? It didn't come from the Spaniards. I'm sorry, it didn't.
Oh my God, that's so good. Yep.
So yeah, take pride in it. That's my main message to Dominicans. I mean, you can be proud of everything that you are, because I am, you know, I don't negate my European ancestry. I don't.
That's part of us too, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, but
I would be lying by negating that my grandfather came from Europe. You know what I mean? Like el apellido de mi abuelo es Espíritu Santo, which was like the only name. Like my family is the people who have that name in DR, Espíritu Santo. So ellos estaban en Higüey, donde está el cathedral and everything. Very like como te digo, gente romana católica entre esa cosa. You know what I'm saying? So I can negate that part of my identity as well. That's also like I'll be lying, you know what I'm saying? By then I'll be doing the reverse. Now it's not, you know, I'm negating my Black identity. I'm also negating another part of who I am as well. You know, so all of that we just should be proud of who we are. That's it. I think that entails.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that's what it really comes down to at the end of the day, regardless of who you are, what culture you're from. Just be proud of everything that makes you you. It really makes your life so much easier once you just learn to embrace that, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Patricia, we're already almost at an hour. Man, I've really enjoyed doing this interview with you. You know, honestly, I love when I come across other Dominicans, either on YouTube or on social media, that are open-minded and, you know, they know what's up, you know, such as yourselves. And I'm, you know, more than happy to bring you onto my channel, and hopefully some of my subs will go to you, you know.
It's been such a great conversation. It just flows so great. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I've been following you for a while actually. I think it's been over a year. I think I found you on YouTube first, and then from there I started following you on Instagram. But
Keep me your how yo, like I gotta keep myself accountable. Don't get la pila. So go subscribe, guys. I promise que me voy a poner la pila and we're gonna get this. You know what I'm saying? We're about to do this. Let's do this.
yes, yes.
For both of us, for all of us. You know what I'm saying? It's only the
Yeah,
beginning of what's in
right.
store for us. So, having a platform where we can speak about our truths and who we are is great.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, to everyone listening, again, go subscribe to Patricia's channel. Her channel will be linked in the description box and in the pinned comments. If you have any questions for Patricia, please leave them down below. And I'll check everyone in my next video. Bye.
Bye.